Roger that.
Hello and welcome to Roostntodd's Tank Destroyer Guide. In this video we will try to make you a better player in the Armor Killed maps in Battlefield 3. The Tank Destroyer is one of the new vehicles and it's a combination of the LAV and the MBT. It has the speed from the LAV and the firepower of a MBT. A big difference between the MBT and the Tank Destroyer is that the MBT got a weak spot in the back and will always get disabled if hit by a 90-degree angle shot, while the Tank Destroyer has the same amount of armor on all sides. Which means that wherever you hit the Tank Destroyer, it will cause the same amount of damage, which is around 48%. Another thing about the Tank Destroyer is that you can be 5 people in it, the driver and 4 gunners. By being 5 people cooperating in the tank, you can take advantage of more specializations and keep the tank alive a lot easier. To switch seats, you have to press F2, F3 and so on. The Russians' Brute SD and the Americans' M1128 is a bit different. As you can see on these pictures, the Brute SD gunners can protect the front and the back, while the M1128 can protect the sides and the front. You can also deploy a smoke by pressing the countermeasure button, which is X by default.
When it comes to specializations for this vehicle, the Tank Destroyer has about all of the basic ground vehicle perks. But I will not speak about them and focus more on the new perk, which is the Cannon High Explosives. The High Explosive Shell is a secondary weapon meant for killing infantry. When selected, you will have the option to switch between 2 different ammunition types, armor penetrating and high explosive. The big difference between the shells is basically damage versus infantry and damage versus vehicles. While the armor penetrating shell does great damage to vehicles and low to infantry, the high explosive shell is the exact opposite. This is the only difference we could find between these 2 perks, so if you heard that they have a different blast radius or anything like that, yeah, that wasn't true. The high explosive shell is capable of damaging all types of vehicles. When attacking armor, you will have a reduced amount of damage compared to the AP shell. Air vehicles and jeeps is a one-hit disable and a high chance to kill passengers on hit. You should, however, always switch to the AP shell when engaging any type of vehicle. If you compare the high explosive shell to the Coaxial LMG will offer a more rapid fire option for engaging infantry, when the high explosive shell shares a cooldown with your main AP round, which means that you can't use both weapons after each other. However, the high explosive round will offer a longer range option and you are able to pick off the infantry quite easily if they are standing in the open. Coaxial LMG isn't that effective at range. Both of the specializations have pros and cons, so it's up to each player to choose which one to use.
In this part of the video we are going to show you how to use the Tank Destroyer in combat. Your primary goal is to take out enemy vehicles like tanks, artillery and anti-airs. You should utilize your speed and use the huge maps to attack your enemies at alternative angles when the Tank Destroyer isn't that great at direct engagements. But you will have to be careful not to get too deep into the enemy territory at the same time. If you want to win versus other tanks, one of the most important things is to practice your aim so you can hit from different ranges while moving and standing still. And as a side note, you should use houses and other stuff like that as cover. You just have to be a little bit creative. When making a steady push towards your base, it's important to not overextend yourself and get in an undesirable situation where you might get disabled and your team can't support you anymore. I always make sure to not drive into areas where there are a lot of infantries, because you will drop very fast if there are RPG dudes spamming rockets at you. So always think about all the threats when you are entering an area where enemies can hide easily. Blow up covers and play safe. A tank should be used as a backbone of your team. Also remember to spot the ground for mines and C4 as well.
Here comes some unnecessary and obvious information. This is Todd's idea, so yeah, here it goes. If you are playing with a friend, make sure he got the repair torch equipped, and you will probably have a good time in a public game. Also, if you are playing with more than 2 people, one of you can play as medic and he can rest the engineer if he dies. Todd also says that you should kill your enemies, cause they will kill you if you don't kill them. There you go. Hope you learned something new about the game, and Todd is very happy to share his knowledge with you. And now for our recommended specialization setups. When playing Rush Conquest, we can recommend this setup for you: reactive armor, IR smoke and coaxial LMG. You will be able to survive a lot of pressure and at the same time being able to kill off surrounding infantry. If you are playing with an organized squad, you should first off choose proximity scan for increased proximity awareness. When you attack flags, this specialization will reveal infantry everywhere around you, and it's super useful when people tend to hide everywhere. Proximity scan will flush them out. The second most important specialization is thermal camo. It will greatly reduce the time you're spotted and increase lock-on times from heat-seeking weapons and laser paints. And the last one is maintenance, which will increase your regeneration of health. Tank Superiority is a different game mode where there are basically more vehicles than infantry on the battlefield. We went with the same passive and active specialization, but for secondary weapon we felt that the tow launcher would do better than any other specialization. Reactive armor and IR smoke will give you the best protection available, and the tow will provide you with a very powerful anti-armor weapon. When playing with a squad though, you should choose specialization in this order. First is thermal camo. This will increase your survival chance by a lot, and it's the most important secondary seat specialization for this game mode. As for second most important, it was quite hard to choose, but we will go with maintenance, because infantry got so little cover to hide behind and you won't really find yourself in situations where you will be in close combat with them. So increased regeneration is the better deal. Last is proc scan, which won't be so useful. I explained why, and yeah, that's why we chose to put it as the least effective gun specialization. And that's it for our tank destroy guide. Leave a rating and comment, subscribe for more videos. I'm Rooster and my friend is Todd. See you next time.